Have you ever said, I'm a narcissist magnet? Like, they just keep coming at me everywhere I go, at work and relationships, friendships, all of these places. You feel like they're everywhere. I hear this a lot in my practice, and I, at one point in my life, used to say I'm a crazy magnet, and a magnet for people that are dominating, narcissistic, all of that. So I really understand where this is coming from. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 reasons why you might be considering yourself a narcissist magnet, and then things that you can do to help you heal from that. So stay tuned. I'm Dr. Meg Haworth, and I'm a transpersonal psychologist, holistic nutritional chef, and the best-selling author of Get Well Now, Healing Yourself with Food and the Power of the Mind. And I help ACONs, adult children of narcissists, become icons. What's an icon? An icon is somebody who's independent, confident, original, and naturally you. So becoming the icon in your own life, becoming the person that you feel like you have your own solid identity now, because maybe you've had relationships with narcissists, and mostly I deal with people who have grown up with narcissistic parents and the kind of programming that goes along with that whole thing. So, as I said, in this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 reasons why you're attracting narcissists. Okay, now the first one, I want to say a little disclaimer at the beginning of this, because I want you to listen to these in a way that I want you to understand that this is not meant to be judgy. It's not meant that it's all your fault and you're the problem. It's not that at all. This whole video and these reasons are really designed for you to be able to look at yourself more deeply, because that's where the change happens. When you work on yourself and you release yourself from different patterns that you've been in that maybe you didn't even realize you were in, that may be contributing to the problem, then that's where the power lies. So, having said that, the number one reason that I see that people attract narcissists is that you might have really poor boundaries. So this means you have poor boundaries in your relationships, and you may do a lot for other people, and you may be, you get really swept away when somebody comes in and starts promising the world and being so great to you and showering you with gifts and attention and all of that. And it feels really good. Of course, it feels really good to have that kind of thing happen. So you may be easily swayed in relationships because you might be like really flexible. I know I'm like this. I'm really flexible, and I had terrible boundaries, but I didn't even know what boundaries were. And a real quick definition of boundaries are basically rules that you have for yourself that you live by. And it's not like a rule that you're giving to somebody else that they have to live by it or else. That's more of an ultimatum. But a boundary is really you just telling yourself, like, this is what I'm not willing to take in relationship. This is the kind of person that I do not want to have to be in relationship with. So that first time you see them manipulating you, you see them shaming you, blaming you, turning the tables on you, and you see these narcissistic patterns, and it's really good to get really well versed in what narcissism really is, so that you understand the different manipulation tactics that they're using. And the more that you're able to see that early on in friendships, in your boss relationships, in your work relationships, and also in romantic relationships, the better off you're going to be, because you're going to be able to really hold your boundaries and not let people run right over you. I know I used to call myself the classic doormat, and I really was that. People ran right over me. I am a really nice person in general, and there's nothing wrong with being a nice person, but when you're nice to a point that you make everyone else more important than you. And that was one of my big things. I didn't realize I was being run by that belief until I was like in my 50s. I was run by this belief that everyone else is more important than me. So I just had these really loose boundaries, and I'd come and go with them and like try new ones and all that kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. So do what you need to do to help yourself understand boundaries. Maybe read books about boundaries and establishing them and sticking to them so that you can really be a winner in this arena, because this is a big, big thing with narcissistic people. They will run right over you. They're the bullies of the world, those that are the grandiose narcissists, but the covert ones bully you in a different way. They bully you with victimization and making you feel terrible and responsible, and you got to clean up everything for them and take care of everything for them. So this all brings me to my second reason for why you might be attracting narcissists, and that is you're a strong person. You're strong, you're accomplished, you're empathetic, you're kind, you're sensitive. You have all these wonderful qualities. And these are the qualities that a narcissistic person looks for. And they're looking for somebody that they can really just sweep into the world, just sweep them off their feet and whoosh them into this world where you end up becoming trauma bonded with this person because you think, this person's my soulmate, the person I've been looking for all my life. Soulmates can happen that fast. Yes, they can't, but that's with a good, healthy person. A narcissist is not a good, healthy person, and they're never going to be. They may be working on themselves and really trying hard, and that's great. But if you are looking for a relationship that you want to have a real partnership, it's not going to be with a narcissistic person. Just know that what they do is they come in and they really take advantage of you. They'll take advantage of your kindness. They'll take advantage of your caring nature, of you wanting to do things for them, and all of that. So really be aware and alert of those people in your life. And like in the case of a boss, you may not be able to do a whole lot, so you need to learn how to not engage with them. And that's another video, right? So, all right, so let's get on to the number 3 reason why you might be attracting narcissists in your life. The third reason is that you might have something that they want. So maybe you have a lot of money, you have status, and you have connections, and that's what they're looking for, are connections. So you have to be really careful with people, new people that come into your life. If you're a successful person, you have to be careful with them coming in and taking advantage of you, because a narcissist is going to lie their way into your world, and you have to be really careful about that. Something else they might want from you is a green card. There's all kinds of things that a narcissistic person could be looking for to try to get you to give them something that they want. And so one of the things the manipulation tactics are going to use is they're going to try to collect data on you and try to figure out what it is that you really want. And they may do this by saying, oh, so do you want kids? Yeah, I really do. Okay, great. And how many do you want? Oh, I want 2. I'd love to have a boy and a girl. And so then they just start joining you in the fantasy because they're collecting information from you. And then they say, oh my God, that's exactly what I want too. We were destined to be a get together. And they'll play up that kind of thing to get what they want. Meanwhile, they're lying to you. They're telling you things that aren't true that they have to offer to you. You have to give relationships time to really be able to see them, see how they interact with other people, see how they react to other people, see how they treat other people, because they're going to be treating other people differently than they're treating you because they're trying to get something from you. So really just think about that and be aware that there are people out there that are opportunists. They may not even be narcissists. They may just be really highly manipulative people that are just trying to get their way and get what they want. And they're looking at you as a source for that. So really be aware of that kind of thing. Okay, the number 4 reason why you might be attracting narcissists, and this was something I'm super guilty of, is your standards are too low. The standards for the people that you allow into your life are too low. Maybe you're super flexible and you're just like wanting to accept everyone and all of the different ways that they are. And that's a wonderful quality to have. But when you're accepting other people into your life that are taking advantage of you and you're not seeing it because you think you're being flexible and you think you're being open-minded or accepting or loving of somebody who's had a really hard time in life, Again, there's nothing wrong with that. But they may be taking advantage of you, and you may not see it because of your open mind and flexibility. So get your standards. This is a really important exercise to do, and that's to really sit down and make a list of the things that you value the most. And you find your values through the things that you do the most. And so it may be like, so maybe you do pray every day, and your connection to a higher power is really important to you. Make sure that that's something that you convey to people, that value is really important to you, because how they react to that value is going to be also important. And note those reactions. They don't have to believe the way that you believe, but when they don't give you respect for the value that you hold, or they, are like, oh, that's ridiculous, or whatever, when they can't even support you in your own belief system, that's a red flag. And so really looking at that and only holding to the standard of like people who can respect me and my spiritual nature, that's really important to me, and I need that in my life. They don't have to believe how I believe. That's not it. It's really about respect, because that really comes from self-respect. And I know that can be hard to hear, but respecting yourself is key. And you may have arenas or areas in your life where you feel like you're not really measuring up to your own expectations of self, or you haven't ever really set standards and expectations for yourself that you really need to have met in order to have this person or that person in your life. So this is a really important thing for you to really look at. What are my values? What are my standards? What is it that I am not going to tolerate in my life any longer? It's really important, because you're super important. Your relationships, your life, your success, everything that you're doing in life is very, very important. And so raising your standards, giving yourself more than you've given yourself in the past will really help you with weeding out people that just aren't up to par, because there's a lot of people out there that aren't. Be careful about who you spend your time with and how much time you spend with them, and allocate the resource of your time and your heart and your love and your money and your success and all of that to people who are really able to meet you where you are. That's really important. And if you feel like you're not even up to your own standards within yourself, then reset new things for yourself, reset new goals for yourself, change things about yourself that you really want to change. Maybe you want to change your diet and your sleeping habits. Maybe you want to stop drinking and partying. Maybe you want to, spend time with people who love the things that you love more. Maybe you want to be around people that aren't sitting around complaining all the time. That really want to work through things. That's super important to you. But establishing those boundaries, establishing those expectations of yourself and of others in your life is a really important exercise to go through. So that's a journal prompt right there for you. So if you're taking notes, please go ahead and start really looking at that, taking assessment of you and what's important to you and what standards do you want to keep for you and for the people that you allow into your life. Okay, number 5. I've saved this number 5 reason for last. But hey, if you're enjoying this video and if it's really helping you and you want to get more videos like it, please check out my channel. I have hundreds of videos there for you, all for free. So check it out. And that can help you through so many different things when it comes to narcissistic parents, when it comes to self-trust, self-esteem, self-identity, and how emotions affect the body over time, and how to do that emotional release work to free your body up so it has more energy available to it to carry out the things that you want to carry out in life. So please like and subscribe if you haven't already done so, to get more videos, because they come out every week. And check out my shorts too. There's short videos that are at the bottom of my page on YouTube, and there's just 1 minute of information for you, and then they're connected to other videos, to longer form videos that you can learn more from me about. Okay, so having said that, number 5, this is really number 1 reason, but I saved it for the last because I think it's the most important one to really look at as to why you might be attracting narcissists in your life. It is highly likely that you have not been able to see this yet, but you likely have one or more narcissistic parents and or siblings in your life. That narcissistic tendencies and the way that you've been treated have been normalized for you. And so because it's so normal, you feel comfortable with narcissists in your life as an adult. You feel comfortable, even though it's very uncomfortable, it's comfortable because you're used to it. You're accustomed to maybe high levels of criticism, maybe high levels of authoritarian rigidity. And that's why you're so flexible. I think it's a reason why I'm so flexible. I had so much rigidity in growing up. This is the right way to do it, and that's it, period. There was no highway. It's not my way or the highway. There was no highway. It's just my way. And if you have a parent who is like that, or that was very victim-y and just always like trying to get energy from everyone else, like, oh, it's just such a terrible parent. And they're trying to get you to take emotional responsibility for their own inner life, to regulate their emotions for them. That's a big red flag. So really look at your parent relationships. A lot of people that were raised by narcissists had perfect families. They projected the perfect family. And that is basically what they focused on, was that perfection. Everything looked great. You did great in school. I did everything I was told to. I was the good kid, all of those kinds of things. But it came at a price, because maybe you didn't get to be who you were meant to be. Maybe you didn't get to pursue the things that you really wanted to pursue because everything was about the parent telling you how you should be, how you should show up, what their expectations were, and how you should meet them. So you may have a narcissistic parent and you haven't seen it, and it's so hard to see. I have so many people that come to me in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and even 80s who say, I finally see my parent was a narcissist, and I finally see the damage it did to me, and I finally see why I chose that husband, and I finally see why I'm a narcissist magnet, and now I want to change that. And that means you have to change you. You have to change yourself internally, and we all have the power to do this, unless, of course, narcissists, they don't really have the power to change themselves. I hold a little tiny bit of hope for them, and I hope that they can rise above, that it can happen. But if you want to change, you need to change yourself, and you do that one step at a time. You don't have to do a huge, overwhelming overhaul of your life right this minute. Just pick one area that you feel like, gosh, I really need to improve in that one area. And maybe start with relationships and how you relate to people. Maybe you're too lenient. Maybe you're too flexible. Maybe you're too accepting. I know that was a big part of my problem. And that I had to raise my standards, but in that I also had to raise my self-esteem. And this is going to require radical honesty with yourself, just being really honest with yourself and really looking at your parents objectively, and not doing it as a way to blame them and shame them and make them wrong, because that's everything they did to you if your parent was a narcissist. It's a way for you to transform, to transcend. It's a way for you to look back at the generation behind you and go, oh, I see where that came from. Okay, I'm not repeating that. And to use it as a way for you to evolve. So if you start to think of your narcissistic parent as your greatest teacher, which, when I first had that thought, I was like, oh, I don't even want to think about that. But when you start to think of that person as your greatest teacher, it makes a huge difference, because the hardest lessons in life are the hardest ones to learn, and they're taught to you by people that are just awful to you. And then when you get to that place where you're just like, I'm not taking this anymore, and you begin to set better boundaries for yourself, and you begin to raise your self-worth and your self-esteem and make it about you, and putting the oxygen mask on you before you put it on anyone else, you are going to feel so much better in your life. When you claim you and who you were meant to be, you become the icon of your own life. Now, if this stuff is resonating with you and you feel like, oh my gosh, I need help with this really resonates, and you're interested in somebody like me who I'm an alternative therapist, I'm not a traditional psychotherapist, I have that kind of training, but what I really focus on is your energy and how your energy is being held in your body, how that's affecting your body over time. That emotional root cause of illness and pain in the body, it's something that I went through myself with over a dozen illnesses. And I help people release that energy from the body, because narcissism and narcissistic parents and being a narcissistic magnet, it's an energy dynamic, and you have to change your inner energetic structure in order to change the outer, and how you react to them, how you relate to them, but most of all, how you relate to yourself and react to yourself. So if this sounds interesting to you and you might want to work with me one-on-one, you can book a free call with me. It's in the links below in the description and in the comments. And I also have an online course. It's a great place to start, where there are energy exercises you can do over and over again as needed. And that's my online course is called Healing the 5 Primary Wounds of Parental Narcissistic Abuse. And if you are in a narcissistic relationship with a mate, a spouse, it's also a great resource for you, a great course for you to take to help you heal on those different levels, those different parts of the self, your self-esteem, your self-identity, your self-worth, your self-trust, and the physical body. Those are all covered in that course. So those are also in the links below. I know I threw a lot of information at you in this video. Go check out my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I really, truly hope that this information will help you get well now.